We're going to begin our coverage this morning with our senior correspondent, Susan Ormiston. She is now inside Ukraine in the city of Lviv, and she is live with us today. It is good to see you, Susan. Set the scene, if you would, for where you are and tell us the latest on the ground.
Well, sadly, as air sirens are going off in many cities in central and eastern Ukraine, here we're being serenaded by a saxophone player just down this walkway, sitting on a bench, a welcome sign here in Lviv, which has been relatively untouched by the war raging to the east. And really, this city of over 700,000 is becoming a refuge. The hotels are nearly completely booked here because people are flooding here from other parts of Ukraine, hoping to find some peace and quiet after all the fighting in the east. They're also coming to temporarily stay here and move on 80 kilometers to the Polish border from here. So you can see, I mean, it looks like a normal European city. People walking, shops are open, coffee shops, banks, stores, people are going to work. But underneath that, Heather, is this tension. Just after we arrived last evening, an air raid siren, people ran to a school across from our hotel into the stone basement. We were there for about half an hour. This has become not frequent here in Lviv, but it's the threat. It's the not knowing of what's going to happen next.
Susan, we are getting reports this morning, military analysis from both the Pentagon and from the UK defense military, and they credit Ukraine's military for stalling the Russian advance again. The fight back, they say, is much harder than the Kremlin expected. I'm wondering, as you speak to people there, can you talk to us about the pride Ukrainians must be showing in their resistance?
We are hearing from young Ukrainian men who are wanting to get prepared for the fight. Some are even coming back into Ukraine. On the weekend, reportedly over 7,000 Ukrainians returned to fight. And of course, the president has said that men aged 18 to 60 are not allowed to exit the country. They have to fight. We're hearing of civilians arming and making homemade Molotov cocktails. And people are saying that they feel pride in that Ukraine has been able to resist this ferocious attack by Russia over 6 days now, and they are ready to defend their country. So there is a sense of pride, and I've been staggered as well as the resilience. I mean, we've talked to people who are fleeing, people who've been waiting for days to get out, and there isn't a sense of panic. There's a sense of panic, but not a sense of chaos. They're steadfastly resolute that they have to protect this country, and they do feel to a degree now that the world is with Ukraine. So we're hearing that as well.
And that's been really woven through the reporting that you brought us on the refugee crisis. It's been very powerful, Susan. The United Nations Refugee Agency has estimated at least 500,000 people have fled Ukraine already. This morning, Susan, we're hearing from the British Prime Minister that we should brace for far more refugees. Boris Johnson predicting millions. What is the latest on that point?
Well, consider that 5 days ago, after the first night of Russian attack, there were about 50,000 Ukrainians heading for those borders. Yesterday morning, it was over 500,000 rather. So there's no question that the exodus is exploding. And when we came over the border yesterday, there was an 18-kilometer line of cars, bumper to bumper, along the road from here in Lviv to the Polish border. I spoke to a woman from Kiev with her elderly mother and 2 sons in the car. She had been sitting in her car in that line for 5 days. I said, "Do you sleep?" She says, "Yes, for 10 or 12 minutes. I sleep and then I have to wake up, start the car and move it forward in line. Just imagine." So there's this tremendous exodus to get out, knowing full well, though, that many residents, as we've described, want to stay and fight. The humanitarian crisis is, I think, at its beginning stages. I mean, here still seems relatively calm, and I say relatively because there have been air attacks, air sirens here. But in the other parts of the country, people are still getting in their cars and exiting to Romania, to Poland getting the most of those refugees so far. And there's no reason to expect that won't continue. Yesterday in Lviv, there was near panic, almost a riot at the train station here of people desperate to get on the trains, take them over the border to Poland. So there's no question it's growing.
Susan, thank you so much again for this and for the reporting thus far. We'll look forward to more of your accounts there now in Lviv.